This is Ryder from the Run Table, coming at you with another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations, number 227. A little bit behind on this, but life gets in the way. Plus, you gotta have movies, obviously. So the first movie I watched was called Destroy All the Neighbors. It was a weird, creepy horror film that, I'm gonna tell you this, you know how they say that some movies, when they're so bad, they're good? It started to feel like that. Like, I was like, man, this movie is terribly put together, terribly written, terribly acted, but it's so bad it's good. Okay, look at the cover on there. It's like a real Russian dude. There's like a monster. There's like a woman whose skin is burned off. There's like a weird homeless guy. There's like a weird appendage coming out. There's a pig. There's another dead guy. There's his girlfriend of all these years. They're like, it's a gore covered tornado of a movie. The movie is, this guy is a musician, but he's always behind the scenes. And he's working on this amazing, in his mind, prog rock album for years. And his girlfriend's like, can't put up with it and all, just wants him to do the simple thing. And he gets a noisy new neighbor who's grotesque named Vlad, and he tries to work it out and by accident kills him, and guess what happens? He continues to keep killing one by accident when he never meant to do it the whole entire night, and all those people that he killed follow him around and haunt him and affect his life, blah, 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 blah. And, Thomas Lennon was in this movie, and apparently so was John Daly, the comedic actor. Like, those two guys, you know what? They're in a lot of terrible things. So for the most part, you're like, okay, cool. None of the other actors in this movie I'm like, yeah, they're wasting their time in this movie because I was unfamiliar with the lead actor. I'm familiar with anyone else that's in this movie. So I was like, okay, cool. And it's just continuing his whole entire horror nightmare where, oh no, the homeless guy he kills is actually the musician that he looks up to and reads all of his how-to guide videos on life. Oh no, the annoying building, lady who's in charge of the building but can't fix anything, and he fixes a thing for you. Oh, she was this incredible musician, and she had all these things to give him and stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, these are very annoying coincidences, and it's just terrible, and the police are after him, and I was like, this is just bad. Then I watched the movie The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I fell asleep because I was tired, not because it was a bad movie. But it is a 2-hour movie. Obviously, I'm not the biggest Guy Ritchie guy, because his movies have been hit or miss lately overall. But it was a really good cast. You got Henry Cavill, who played Superman. You got Al Richardson, who was a TMNT. He was Hawk. He's in these Jack Reacher films. Aquaman. He's been all these superheroes. He's an action guy, and he's playing a foreigner, European guy. Like, okay, I could buy it. Henry Cavill's British. It makes sense. And obviously, the guy from Snake Eye, G.I. Joe franchise, and, Crazy Rich Asians. Henry Gold in this movie. Carrie Ullis, British officer. That makes a lot of sense. Hero Phineas Tiffin, I've seen him in movies before. So for the most part, the whole entire cast, I've seen most of them before, even I couldn't recognize their name. I just don't buy, oh, this African-American guy owns a bar and like that, and he has all the Nazis come over there, and this woman's a Jewish singer, but no one knows she's Jewish, and she's also a covert agent. And you got Winston Churchill in this movie, and he was not a bad interpretation of it. But it was like, yeah, let's take these crazy guys who've been in prison, no one wants them, they all have their special talents, and they're going to try to destroy these Nazi convoy ships and their allies like the Italians and whatever, and it turns into cluster of like bad luck, but then they got to save the day, they got to save their guy from something, and it was like a pretty good movie. I liked it. It had a lot of action. It was not the most serious movie, but it wasn't a comedy. It was like a mixture of comedy and action, and it wasn't bad, so I give Guy Ritchie credit. It wasn't terrible. If it's based off a true story or not, it wasn't bad. I liked it. That's the type of movie you want to watch. You want to watch an action movie that has some comedy to it. And then I watched the movie The American Society of Magical Negro with David Alan Grier, Justice Smith, Isha Hines, and Rupert Friend was in this movie. Nicole Byer, Michaela Watkins was in this movie. And I'm like, huh. So I recognize all the actors in this movie, okay? And I thought it was supposed to, I was like, are you serious? This is a movie? Like, the whole point of the Magical Society, not to ruin it, is, but it says here, is that dedicate their lives to the cause, the utmost importance, making white people's lives easier. So it's more of a satire. Like, are you serious? That's what they do? But they make a point that if you make white people's lives easier, they may not take it out on a black person. That's what their end goal of this movie was. And Justice Smith's been over like Detective Pikachu and all these other things. He's a neurotic. He's always stressed. He's, awkward. He's kind of just bumbling through life and stuff like that. And David Allen Greer is like, I got to take this guy under my wing. I got to teach him the way to help him out. Nicole Byer is like in charge of the society. Isha Hines is like the teacher. And, you know, as of course they had to make it a rom-com in a way where it's like, I by accident meet this girl. And then I turn out I'm working at the same company as her and I'm in love with her. But, you know, my mission is to make the guy this white guy happy and he loves her. And it's all this other stuff. But also I got to make his life better as an employee, but not her life. And Michaela Walken's like the boss at this company, and you know it's one of those tech companies. And the whole movie is him trying to balance. Well, I have a mission to make sure this white guy's happy, but I want to be happy. I got to speak up and have a voice. So it's interesting enough. David Allen Greer just continues to show that he's a very good supporting actor in a lot of things that I've watched. He makes things better. So once you watch the movie, you get the premise of the movie and you like it. But I just don't like the whole rom-com aspect of it that the movie turned into. Then I watched Land of the Bad, which had another good cast of characters, of like actors. You know, Milo Ventimiglia from Heroes and Gilmore Girls and This Is Us. Luke Hemsworth, the least famous Hemsworth brother. Liam Hemsworth, the lead actor. And Russell Crowe, the drone operator. Yeah, and there was other actors in this movie that I've probably seen before. But again, hour 50-minute movie. It's also like a war film that no man left behind, that they're in the Philippines and a covert operations and a brutal battle for survivor. And Hemsworth is like a young officer, and apparently they take all these officers from different elements of the military, and they're on this mission to rescue someone. And a little disappointing because the other Hemsworth is barely in it. Milo Ventimiglia is barely in it, and then they got you with him being dead or not. I'm sorry to ruin it, but it's just stupid. And calling it the Land of Bad, the movie was pretty bad. The writing wasn't great. The character development wasn't great. Some of the action scenes were stupid, and everyone should have died like many times in this movie. Russell Crowe should have probably been like in the trenches. I know he's getting older, but him just being a drone operator with the rest of the officers being frat boys and watching college sports and not caring about what's happening, and his wife, apparently his fourth wife, is giving birth. He goes to the grocery store because they're like, your shift is too long. Like, it just was way too much about his personal life, the drone operator, and not about, I don't know, worry about Hemsworth brothers and Milo Ventimiglia and the rest of the cast. Like, that it wasn't great how they put it together. And obviously, like a typical action war film, you know, wartime movie, it wasn't bad, it just wasn't great. Now, this is a question mark. I tried watching this movie called Fitting In with Maddie Ziegler, and where I didn't really recognize any of the actors from anything, but it's about a 16-year-old woman who's like a girl in high school. All of her friends are worried about having sex, having boyfriends, and she wants to do that, but then she finds out that something's up with her and she can't get pregnant, she can't have sex, she doesn't have menopause, all these other things. She has a special reproductive condition, and they say to her, like, she's got to, like, work on it, like, with like, muscle memory and all this other stuff, so she's focusing on, like, man, gotta force my way to have sex so I can, like, fix my vagina. It's a really stupid premise there, and her mother's so accommodating because she's a single mother who's apparently a terrible therapist because they keep traveling around the world. She's missing a boob. I don't know. Like, they made a whole big deal that she's gone through that trauma and with exes and things like that. And her friends she's like new to town. She's on the track team, so that's a weird dynamic. Then there's like a non-binary person in the movie, or they call them like intersex, and she tries to have a relationship with her. But then when they're in public, they're not really together, and the non-binary person's like, I knew you were using me because, you know, they don't have a junk down there. So it's like, well, you know, it can't be the whole worry about sex with a guy and her and stuff like that. And I thought because it was 2024, they're going to make it a whole romance between that. But it was just so dumb and really stupid about her relationship and about, you know, having this condition and stuff, and then people finding out. And then it kept skipping to the credits. And I was like, well, I guess the movie's over after she was crying in her bed. Not so fast. This movie has a scratch on it. It's like, it had a scratch on it, and it could not get past that point, even though you, like, take it out and you do all these other things, right? And what I didn't realize was there was a crack in the DVD. I don't know how miraculously the movie played in the first place, but I don't know. It must have done something. I'm not paying for it. It's really stupid. But the point is, because look, the whole box is like screwed up here. Like, again, I didn't do any of that. Some of the people at Chicago Library, because it's going around the whole entire Chicago, they take terrible job. So I don't know what the end result is, or the whole point of this movie called Fitting in Bloody Hell, but stupid. Then I watched the movie Knox Goes Away, and that was actually pretty good. I fell asleep because it was a long 2 days, but, you know, it was where he is this former military guy who works for, I guess, for criminals killing people, and he finds out that he has, like, some sort of dementia, and it's, like, the kind that is not gonna like. It's not like it's gonna eventually happen. It's going quickly, so he's forgetting things. But of course, you know, I like that Al Pacino plays a trusted friend who's obviously a criminal, and his son is James Marsden. So he's Batman. His son was Cyclops. His ex-wife, who's barely moving, Marisha Gay Harden. That's good cast. She's really good at that. And the woman who played the cop, it's really hard to read the McNamara, maybe her name's Susan McNamara. I remember playing Dr. Ken's wife in his comedy and stuff like that. And his partner, McKinnon, I think I've seen him before as well. But overall, like, they did a good job of casting it. And Michael Keaton is getting up there in age, so it's like, it's plausible that he's a man who's done all these things in the past, and now he's dealing with this dementia battle, and he's trying to protect his family and his assets and what's going on in his life, and his son comes to him for help even though they're estranged, and he's trying to save his son's life for what happened with his granddaughter and stuff like that. So it's like, it was a good movie. He did a good job in the movie, and I liked it overall, and it was a very good cast. It was the type of action movie that, you know, action drama movie. I thought that's pretty good for Michael Keaton to be in. So yeah, I enjoyed Knox Goes Away. I enjoyed the American Society of Magical Negroes, but just not the way that they made it into a rom-com, in a way. But so they were pretty good, but again, I think the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was a good combination of action and comedy, with a well-versed cast who've been in action movies before. And again, it's supposedly based off a true story. Not bad. Land of Bad was bad, and they probably could have made it better. Fitting in, I just never understood the premise of the movie. And again, it's like, yep. All I was trying to do was, you know, wipe off the disc, put it back in, and wipe off the disc, put it back in, and it's just not working. And again, it's in terrible condition. But I don't understand the purpose of this movie fitting in. There was no reason for it. And Destroy All Neighbors was so bad that it was good. So again, thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Review Observations number 227. For Honor and Tablog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.